So we're told that Alex spent a total of $91, and there are three types of rentals. One-day rental, and I'm going to use the variable D1, D3, and D7. I want to use something descriptive so I can visualize as when I need to go back to the question. So D sub 1 represents the number of one-day rentals, and D3 is the three-day rentals, and D7 is the number of 7-day rentals. The cost is $5 here for one-day rentals, 8 for 3 days, and 10. And we're told that never rented the same game twice, and he rented fewer than 6 games in a one-day rental. So D1 is less than 6. So that's a constraint here. The other relationship we know is that the total amount he spent was 91. That must equal 5D1 plus 8D3 plus 10D7, because this is the rental price for each item. And if you had D1 of those one-day rentals, then that would be the cost, and so on and so forth. Question is, how many different games did Alex rent last month? So we're looking for D1 plus D3 plus D7. How many different games, right? The total. So I'll start with statement 1. Alex spent $20 in 7-day video game rentals. So that means D7 is 2, that value. I can plug that here, 91. So that becomes 71. And note here, D1 and D3 are integers. So anytime you have integers, anytime variables that are constrained to be integers, you want to make sure that it doesn't have a unique value. So just because it's two unknowns doesn't mean that you will get multiple values. So I'll isolate D3, and the reason I'm doing that is because I'm also given that constraint. So it's not like D1, D3 can be anything. So D3 is 71 minus 5 D1 over 8. So there aren't that many values, so I can just start by plugging in 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There's only 5. Now, if D1 is 1, this would be 66, which is not divisible by 8. So 1 is out. 2 would be 10. 61, which is odd, so that's out. 71 minus 15 is 56. 8 does go into it. So now I have D3, and it's 3 is 7. 4 will give me an odd, so that doesn't give me a unique value. 71 minus 25 is 46, non-divisible by 8, so there's no integer solution. So you'll note here that there's only one unique value. D1 is 3, and D3 is 7. That is, even though we have two variables here, because of the constraints, these are the unique values. And of course, I know D7 as well, which is 2. So I can answer the original question as how many different games were rented. So 1 alone is sufficient. I think that's the trap here. And it is a hard question. Last month, Alex spent $56 in a 3-day video rental. So 8D3. And the thing to note here is that the value I get for D3 is consistent with what I got here. So I kind of know I'm on the right track. But of course, I have to, again, absolutely convince myself that there is a unique set. So D3 is 7. I'm going to put that here. 5D1 plus 10D7 plus 56 is 91. So that's 15. I have this 5 throughout, so I can divide. 8 plus 2D7 is equal to 3, because I'm dividing each by 5. So again, I'm going to systematically go through these values to make sure they're multiple or unique. So D1 is 1. So if D1 is 1, then D7 would be 1. Let me just make sure I haven't made a mistake. Yeah, I have. I kind of suspected that because these values are not consistent. So here's the mistake. And this can happen in the exam. 56. 91 minus 56 is not 51. It's actually 71 is the sum. So this actually needs to be 35. So you want to be careful. It does happen. So this is actually 7. And so if D1 is 1, D7 is 3. And the reason I kind of caught that is because, well, actually, let's continue. I'll tell you why. So if D1 is 2, I don't get an integer value. D1 is 3, then D7 would be 2. And that is, this value I already had. But then we have another set here. 4 is not going to give you an integer value. And actually, this one also, we don't need to go this far because 7 minus 5 is 2. D7 will be 1. So we have actually multiple solutions for D1 and D7, 1, 3, 3, 2, 5, 1, and we had the D3 was 7, which is the same in all cases. You'll see the total number is different in these cases. 13 here, actually 13 here too. But let me just make sure. Yeah. 13, no, this is 12. Again, 10, 11. So I have 3 different values. Now, of course, this is overkill, but sometimes I'll do that because if I make these kind of silly mistakes, that can cost me thinking I'm getting the same outcome. So sometimes on the harder question, I will do extra work because I kind of know that I have to be extra careful. So yeah, just pay attention to your calculations. So 2 alone is insufficient, and the answer is A.